She married an Okada rider and regretted it in 30 days. This story would blow your mind. Before we continue, hit on the subscribe button to get notified whenever a new story drops. Now let's continue. The first time Amaka saw Chinedu, he was arguing with a passenger who refused to pay him his money. Not angrily, not loudly, but with a quiet firmness that made people listen. His shirt was neatly washed but clearly worn out. Yet, there was something about him. Dignity. Amaka was not supposed to notice a man like that. She was beautiful, educated, the kind of woman her mother believed deserved a big man, a car, a mansion, a life of ease. But love has never respected expectations. Weeks later, Chinedu found her at the roadside, looking for a bike, and offered to give her a free lift. "Let me help you," he said gently. That was how it started. He wasn't rich, but he was steady. Every evening he would come see her. Sometimes he would buy her bread. Sometimes he came with nothing but stories and laughter. He spoke of dreams, of the jobs he had applied for, of the life he wanted to build. Chinedu was a graduate, but was struggling to gain employment. And slowly, Amaka fell. They courted for 6 months. When he proposed to her, he was very honest. "I don't have much now, but I will never cheat on you or shame you if you marry me. I'll make you happy." Her mother almost fainted. "An Okada rider? Of all men, Amaka, have you lost your mind?" But Amaka stood her ground. Love, she believed, was enough. They got married. Small ceremony, simple life, and peaceful beginnings. Chinedu worked harder, longer hours under the sun, sweat soaking his back as he rode from morning till night. He still smiled, still came home with small things, still called her my queen. She loved him regardless of their present circumstance. But 3 weeks after their wedding, Amaka attended a friend's event. That's where she met him, Desmond Williams. Everything about him screamed money, from his watch to the way people stepped aside when he walked. Desmond was tall, clean, and effortlessly confident. When he noticed Amaka, he didn't hesitate. "You look stunning," he said, smiling slightly. "Give me a chance to treat you like my queen." She frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means you look like a woman who should be crowned a queen in my home." "Stop joking. I'm a married woman." He looked at her disappointed for a while. "What if I am able to take care of you better than he does? Would you still stick with him?" "You are insane," she said lightly. They exchanged numbers anyway before he left. But those words stayed with her. Every day, Desmond would call her, send her messages, gifts, money, and even took her out on dates. She enjoyed it and convinced herself that it was just casual and nothing was going on between them. Chinedu didn't notice anything. He was too busy struggling to provide for her that he didn't notice she was slowly drifting away. Slowly, her resistance began to weaken. Exactly 1 month after her wedding, she was already angry at herself for stooping so low to marry Chinedu. She began comparing and talking to him with disrespect. "Chinedu, must you always come home smelling like petrol?" Can you imagine a woman asking her struggling husband that question? "Can't you do better with your life?" She would bark at him. Chinedu would look at her quietly, confused and hurt, but still gentle. "I'm trying, Amaka. Everything I do is for us. Since when did you begin to talk to me this way? I thought we started in love." But she no longer heard him. Her mother noticed the change immediately. "Finally, your eyes are opening. I know you will regret it with your nonsense love." When Amaka told her about Desmond, her mother smiled. A dangerous smile. "That is your breakthrough." "But Mama, I'm married." "And so what?" Amaka froze. "You want to suffer? Stay there. Or you want to enjoy life? Move forward or perish in penury." Those words planted something dark inside her. Soon, Amaka became someone else. At home, she was cold, distant, irritated. Outside, she was soft, sweet, desirable. She began seeing Desmond regularly. Hotels, restaurants, late nights. Chinedu finally noticed. "You've changed," he said one night. She rolled her eyes. "Maybe I just woke up. Maybe I just realized how foolish I was to marry you and live in this wretched place." That night, he cried silently. One morning, everything stopped. Amaka missed her period. Her hands trembled as she stared at the test. Positive. Her heart pounded. She ran to her mother. "Mama, I'm pregnant." Her mother's face lit up. "Good. Now your future is secured." Amaka shook her head. "No, Mama. I only slept with Desmond for the first time last week. It belongs to Chinedu." Her mother was silent for a while. Then she gave a cold, sharp response. "And so what? Give it to the rich man. A pregnancy belongs to whom the woman says it owns." Amaka stepped back. "Mama, how?" Her mother moved closer, voice low, deadly. "Listen to me carefully. This is your only chance. Or you want to carry an Okada rider's child all your life?" Amaka's chest tightened. "But it's wrong." Her mother's voice rose. "Wrong? Poverty is what is wrong, not this. Use your head, Amaka. Do you want to end up like me?" What a mother she was. That night, Amaka made the decision that would change everything. Chinedu came home that evening with a small bag of groceries, smiling. "I got your favorite." "I want a divorce," Amara threw in sharply. The words hit like thunder. He froze. "What?" She didn't look at him. "I'm in love with someone else. I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. I'm no longer here." Silence filled the room. "Amaka, what are you saying?" "You heard me. I said I'm done. I deserve better, Chinedu." He searched her face, looking for the woman he married, but she was gone. The court process was fast, cold, heartless. 3 months. That was all their marriage lasted. Chinedu didn't fight, but something inside him shattered. Amaka moved in immediately with Desmond. Luxury swallowed her. Cars, clothes, comfort. And the pregnancy. She gave it to him. She waited until 1 month to announce to him that she was pregnant. Desmond was happy and proud. "I would soon be a father," he would say. And Amaka smiled. But deep inside, something never rested. Because truth doesn't die. It waits. Years had passed. Time, as it always does, moved forward, indifferent to pain, blind to betrayal. Chinedu was no longer the man people pitied at the roadside. The dusty helmet was gone. The days of Okada riding was gone. Even the silence he once carried had changed. Now, he was Dr. Chinedu Okafor. One of his numerous interviews finally yielded results after years of rejection. He was now a senior lecturer at a renowned university. He was respected, calm, intelligent, and grounded. He married a woman who understood peace, not pressure. And together, they built a home filled with laughter. They had 3 wonderful children. Sometimes, late at night, he would sit quietly and think of the past. Not with anger, but with a strange acceptance. Some losses, he once told his wife, are actually protection in disguise. One day, it was a normal evening, the kind that carried no warning. Chinedu was driving home from work. The road was busy. Cars honking, motorcycles weaving recklessly through traffic. Then, suddenly, a loud crash. A motorcycle sped past, and a young boy of about 14 was thrown violently onto the road. Everything paused for a second. Then, chaos. People gathered, and instead of helping him to get healthcare, they brought out their phones and started taking pictures and recording videos. Voices rose, but no one moved to help, while the boy lay there, still. Chinedu's heart tightened. Without thinking, he pulled over sharply, stepped out, pushed through the crowd. Move! He knelt beside the boy. His breathing was weak, his body trembling. You'll be okay, Chinedu said firmly, even though his own voice shook slightly. Carefully, he lifted the boy. The crowd watched, still, recording, still useless. As he carried him toward the car, something happened. His shirt shifted slightly, and Chinedu froze. His eyes locked onto the boy's neck. He saw a mark, a thick, dark, distinct star-shaped mark he himself had carried from birth. His breath caught. Who is this boy? This cannot be a coincidence. This my exact same birthmark. Whoever this boy was, he was definitely related to me, he told himself. His hand tightened slightly. He quickly placed the boy in the car and drove him straight to the hospital. At the hospital, everything moved quickly. Nurses rushed him in. Doctors took over. Chinedu stood outside, still, silent. His heart refused to settle. He paced, sat, stood again. That birthmark, it didn't make sense. After some time, a doctor stepped out. He's stable. You brought him in on time. He passed out from the shock of the incident, but he's fine now. Just some minor dressings for his bruises. Chinedu nodded. Relief washed over him, but it didn't last. Can I see him? The doctor nodded, permitted him. Inside the ward, the boy lay quietly, eyes closed, face pale. Chinedu moved closer, studied him. Something about the boy felt homely. Chinedu leaned forward gently. How are you now? The boy blinked, confused. I'm fine. I was told you rushed me in. Thank you for helping me, sir. It's nothing. Glory to God, Chinedu said. Then, carefully, Chinedu asked the question that had been burning inside him. What's your name? Uche, the boy answered. Chinedu swallowed. Who are your parents? The boy mentioned his father's name first. Desmond. Chinedu's jaw tightened slightly. And your mother? Amaka, Uche said. Everything inside Chinedu went still. The room felt smaller. His heartbeat slowed, then thundered. It was like the past had reached out and grabbed him. He stepped back slightly, trying to steady himself. I said it. This is my blood. So Amaka was pregnant before she left my house, and she had the audacity to give my first seed to another man? He muttered to himself. He looked at the boy again. This time, not as a stranger, but as his own. Call your parents, he said quietly. Let them know you had an accident and was admitted. The boy nodded weakly. 30 minutes later, the door burst open. Footsteps rushed in. Amaka entered first. Elegant, composed, and expensive. But the moment her eyes landed on the man standing beside the bed, she froze. Chinedu. For a split second, the years disappeared. The small room, the laughter, the promises, the betrayal. Everything rushed back. Her lips parted slightly. Shock. Then quickly, she gathered herself. Her face hardened. What are you doing with my son? She asked sharply. Chinedu didn't move, didn't blink, didn't answer her question. Instead, his voice came out low, controlled, dangerous in its calmness. Why did you give my son to another man, Amaka? The air shifted. The boy on the bed looked from one face to another, confused and scared. What is he saying, Mom? Uche asked. Amaka ignored him. Before she could respond, another voice cut through the room. Desmond stepped forward, anger radiating from him. What kind nonsense talk is this? He snapped. Who do you think you can walk into my son's life and start making wild accusations simply because you helped him at an accident scene? Chinedu slowly turned his gaze to him, still calm, still steady. Ask her and stop ranting, he said quietly. Desmond scoffed. Ask her what? Ask her why you are delusional. You are just angry because she dumped you years ago. Love na be force. Amaka finally spoke, her voice firm, almost convincing. I wonder, look Chinedu, I don't know what game you are playing, but this is my husband's son, so stay away. They all went silent. Chinedu stared at her for a long moment, not with anger, but with disappointment so deep it almost felt heavier than rage. Even now, he asked softly, after all these years, you still choose lies? She looked away, just briefly, but that was enough. Without another word, Chinedu stepped forward. The boy flinched slightly. He lifted the boy's shirt and revealed it, the birthmark. It was clear, distinct, and impossible to miss. The room went quiet. Chinedu then reached for his own collar, pulled it aside, and there it was. The same mark, same shape, same place, like a mirror. Desmond staggered back, his face drained of color. No, he whispered. His hands trembled. Since his marriage to Amaka, they have never heard the cry of a baby in that house after the birth of Uche. It has been years of trying for another child, doctor's appointments and unending tests. He had always had Uche as his consolation, and now this? Now imagine his only hope taken away from him after years of caring for him as his own. Painful, right? But was it not him that went after someone's wife in the first place? He sank into a chair, like something inside him had just collapsed. No, this doesn't prove anything, Amaka shouted. You are not the only one with such birthmark. Does that mean you have slept with so many men before now? Chinedu asked sarcastically. Don't you dare call me a whore, she shouted furiously at him. Uche looked terrified now. Mom, what's going on? Amaka's composure cracked, just slightly. But then she dropped to her knees beside Desmond, grabbing his hand desperately. He's your son, she cried. Don't listen to him. Please, he's your child. Her voice broke, tears streaming down her face. But this time, those tears carried fear, not manipulation. Chinedu watched her quietly, then spoke. Let's do a DNA test. The words landed like a final blow. Amaka let out a sharp, mocking laugh through her tears. DNA? She scoffed. With whose money? You speak as if you can even afford it. There it was, the insult, the reminder of who he used to be. But Chinedu didn't react, because he was no longer that man. With my money. If you know you are innocent, consent, let's get it done, he said calmly. Desmond looked up, broken, confused, searching. He said, We'll do it. Amaka turned to him sharply. Are you serious? Don't listen to him. You don't need a DNA. He is your son. I said we'll do it, he repeated, louder this time. Amaka went silent immediately. But inside her mind, a different plan was already forming. That night, Amaka didn't sleep. Her thoughts raced. If the test was done, everything would end. Her marriage, her comfort, her life. No, she couldn't let that happen. She stood up quietly. I'll take my son out of this hospital before morning, she whispered to herself. But what she didn't know was that Chinedu had already seen this coming. Because while the boy lay unconscious earlier, Chinedu had done something simple, quiet and unnoticed. He had taken a strand of the boy's hair and sent it for testing. He had also discussed with the doctor not to let the couple take the boy away until the DNA results were out. She called the doctor and requested for a discharge at 8 p.m. He gently explained to her that Uche wasn't fit for discharge and a process was ongoing and had to be completed before his discharge. She was furious, but since she didn't have the backing of Desmond, she couldn't push further. Days later, they all sat in silence. The envelope lay on the table, untouched, heavy. Desmond's hands shook as he picked it up. Amaka's heart pounded violently. Chinedu sat still, setting. The paper opened. Eyes scanned. 99.9%. His voice broke. Uche is not mine? After all these years, not mine? Chinedu is the father? My only child is not mine. He spoke confused. Amaka collapsed. But why was she collapsing over a truth she already knew, you wonder, right? I wonder too. It was because everything she built was gone. Everything she protected, exposed. Everything she chose, now judging her. Chinedu stood, slowly, not with pride, not with victory, but with truth. You left me. That was fine, he said quietly. But what isn't is taking my first fruit away from me. But truth of the DNA result alone was not enough. There was law, there was custody, there was pride. Desmond, wounded and humiliated, refused at first. Not because he still believed the lie, but because letting go meant losing his investment of 14 years. And so, Desmond took the case to court. That's foolish, don't you think? I mean, why fighting an obvious truth? Weeks turned into months. Arguments, evidence, DNA reports, witnesses. Amaka sat through it all, silent, shrinking in the face of her lies. Because every word spoken in that courtroom stripped her of something: respect, dignity, and control. Until finally, the judgment came. Custody granted to Chinedu Okafor. Just like that, it was over. But surprisingly, Uche didn't want to leave Desmond's house. That was the father he had known all along. And when asked his preference at the court, he told them he accepts the fact that Mr. Chinedu was his father, but he can't go and start his life all over again in a strange environment. Chinedu felt a pain in his heart. That night, Uche still followed Desmond and his mother home, but the mansion felt different, quieter and colder. As time went by, Uche's little errors that Desmond had overlooked before now began to irritate him. He shouted at Uche at every slight provocation. He now saw the boy as a wasted investment. Amaka noticed. She herself was no longer at peace. She walked through the house like a stranger. Desmond couldn't look at her anymore. He wasn't innocent either. He knew she was married, yet he went after her because of lust. And now, the woman he fought for, the woman he trusted, had built their entire life on a lie. "You deceived me," he said one night. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried finality. "You made me love what was never mine." Amaka cried, begged, held his hands. "I did it for us, for a better life." But Desmond pulled away. "No," he said coldly. "You did it for greed." Then came the final blow. 2 weeks after the court proceedings, Desmond served her divorce papers. "I can't stay with you and another man's son anymore," he continued. "Not after this. To think that you can't even give me my own child after all these years. Maybe it's God's way of punishing me for taking over another man's wife. I need to move on, Amaka. I can't continue like this." Those words cut deeper than anything else, because they were true. And truth hurts most when it's deserved. Weeks later, Amaka stood outside a familiar building with her son Uche, University of Nsukka. Someone had told her that Chinedu now works there. Her heart pounded as she walked in. Then they reached his office. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Time stood still again. But this time, there was no love left in it, only distance. Amaka walked in, her pride gone, her voice softer than it had ever been. Chinedu, please forgive me. I'm sorry. He sat there in his chair, watching them, not surprised, not moved. We want to come back, she said, her voice trembling. Please give me a second chance so your son can grow under his father for the sake of what we once had. Chinedu stared at her. Then, suddenly, he laughed. Not loudly, but painfully honest. You amaze me, Amaka. So, you actually thought I paused my entire life for you after you left? Her heart dropped. He reached for his phone and turned the screen toward her. It was the picture of his wife and children. No, he said quietly, I didn't. I am married and I have a family. He leaned forward slightly. There is no vacancy. My home would always be open to Uche, my son. But for you, never. The words hit like a hammer. Amaka's knees weakened and desperation took over. I can be a second wife, she whispered desperately. That was the final mistake. Chinedu's face hardened instantly. Get out. That statement sweet me, eh? Did it sweet you too? Amaka froze. I will never marry a second wife, he said firmly. And even if my marriage ever fails, he paused, I will never go back to you. Leave my office. She told her son to stay with his father because she couldn't afford to cater for him. She had lived as a rich man's wife for years and had been out on work for a while now. Left with no choice, Uche agreed. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Is he also running after money, just like his mother? Or he is only acting age-appropriate? Well, we will find out. Tears blurred Amaka's vision as she walked away. Back to the only place left, her mother's house. The house she had built for her mother from the same wealth that had destroyed her life. She walked in, broken. Her mother looked at her, cold. So, you've come back? Amaka's voice shook. Desmond divorced me, and Chinedu rejected me. Her mother scoffed. What did you expect? Something snapped inside Amaka. You told me to do it, Amaka shouted. You pushed me. Stop sounding like it's all my fault. And you agreed, her mother fired back. Was I the one sleeping with two men? Are you a child, Amaka? Oh, some mothers are something else, seriously. Can you imagine this woman? They both argued and had a heated confrontation that day. Years of hidden blame exploded in one moment. Finally, her mother pointed to the door. Leave my house. Amaka laughed bitterly. Leave? She said slowly. This house? She stepped closer, eyes burning. You lie, Mama. You are stuck with me. If there's anyone leaving, it should be you. This house cost me my marriage. And if you try anything funny, I will deal with you, she told her mother. Her mother stepped back slightly, shocked. And just like that, they were trapped together in a house built by greed, filled with regret. Days turned to weeks. Uche blended into the new family. It wasn't easy for the kids of Chinedu's second wife at first, but with time, they accepted him and lived together as one big happy family. Meanwhile, Amaka remained in her mother's house, and every time her mother tries to mock her, Amaka fought back fiercely, refusing to be silenced, refusing to leave. We die here, she would say, because deep down, she knew the truth. Her life, her pain, her fall was not hers alone. Her mother had planted it, but she had watered it. She chose money over love and lost both. What you steal through lies will leave through truth. The man you leave in poverty today may be your biggest regret tomorrow. Not every upgrade is progress. Some are a big crash waiting to happen. Greed writes stories that regret must finish. Finally, not every parent or elder gives wise counsel. Remember, fools also grow old. Thank you for watching. We meet again to share another lovely story. But until then, bye!